Hi, I'm Sikiwan and welcome to Sharing Ancestors. Today we followed up from our last video when we were looking at how we coordinate our primary bridges to our Yijikuruma. So just as a quick recap, when we look at the Yijikuruma, it's such an upright and narrow stance. We're literally looking at a walking stance. Now what I mean for that is that we can literally drop into the stance from the attack. So if we focus on the attack from the position here, what we have is that we have the Yijikuruma in place. So because we're expressing yin-yang separation, if the vessel was pressed down from that position here, we will not get any energy down into my root here. So that allows me to pivot around his position. Now, because we have the adduction of the knees, we've got a spring situation here, whereby if he was to withdraw his bridge or step back, I'm able to follow or accelerate into his position. Now, moving on, back into our primary bridges, when we look at how we intercept, if we look at the first bridging sequence in our ceiling tile, we have the expression of the double wu expressing the gang. So from that position here, we move up to express the double tan when we sweep in space upwards. Now, if we look at and see what we have here in this bridging sequence, we have what we call static structures. Now, these static structures are important for two reasons. Now, the first one is because what they represent is they represent a means by which we're able to deflect power during interception. Because when I attack this position, we're using a static structure, you're able to deflect from using these structures. So we move into, say, the wu position. Again, we can use this position to deflect power. So what happens is that we just bring that up into the position here. What we've got is that we've got the leading hand or the leading guard, which we're expressing either a tan, which allows us for a deflection, or if it goes into the wu position here. Now, for the rear guard, we only normally express the rear guard using the structure of the wu. So, reason being is that if I was to try to grab or try to trap the rear guard position, he only has to flow into the tan position and you can open my position. Because when we're expressing the primary bridges from one hand, we're looking at the tan flows into the wu. So the tan is the opening position and the wu from the same hand represents the closing position. So secondly, when we look at here is that because we got static structures here, what we're expressing here, we are defining the physical frame or boundaries of our three-gate defense system. So what this represents, it represents the depth, and this depth is important because this is what allows us or affords us reaction time from the interception, from an attack. So just for example, thank you. For example, when Sylvester throws an attack position here, now because I can I'm holding this static structure here, I'm now able to take or move in, holding space or trying to control my three-gate defense system. So if you use the shot from a different angle, so Sylvester throws something again, from this position here, now I'm able to maintain a certain amount of space because I need the reaction space I need the space to create reaction time from his next attack. So it doesn't matter whether I just use the tan there or I use the wu position here. I've now got a position where I'm able to maintain that space. Thank you. So we move on to the next stage or the next time frame. We're looking at a stage what we call Poon Sau. Now the Poon Sau represents how we express our primary bridges as a structured flow. So when we look at the ceiling tile, if we look at the third bridging sequence in the ceiling tile, we have three different combinations of structured flow. So the first one we see is that we see the tan for wu, and we have the wu for wu, and finally we have the wu. So we'll look at wu in a separate video because it's essentially a Poon Sau expression. So now let's just see how we use the structured flow during the interception for this stage. So what happens if Sylvester's throwing a punch from here? Now, when I'm intercepting from here is that I've got a choice. I can move around him, or I have a choice of breaking through his structure here. Now, the first structured flow, we have the tan for wu, so we'll break in this way, or if he throws his other hand position here. Again, I'm throwing the tan position here, and if I enter the wu, then I can go into the foot position here. So now, that's how we use the tan for wood, but if we were to say, looking at the second structure flow when we're using the wood, so we throw the same punch again. Again, when we intercept from this position here, we're intercepting with the wood, which breaks the structure, and we can now enter into the Poon Sau and come back again for our wood position. Or, if we throw the other hand, position here, again, we're intercepting with the wood, breaking his structure and center, and moving to the wood for wood. So these are, two examples of how we can express the structure flow from a single position. But normally when we look at Poon Sau, we're looking at a double hand interception. So what happens, say he enters into a guard, this is the different types of expressions that we have for the Poon Sau. So we're going to have the two gans on the outside, or we're going to have the interception with the wu and the tan, or with the wu and a double wu position here. So let's look at, just take one example of how we express it from a double position here. So let's say, for instance, I'm making an interception, and I've got the wu and I've got a tan from this position here. Now, it depends on, maybe to move the other side, it's easier to see from that position here. Now, when we're making an interception here, it really does depend on which hand he moves first, which dictates how I flow from this position here. So now I've got two bridging structures, bridging combinations I can actually use. So if you was just to move one of the hand positions here, now I'm able to flow, move into the wood for wood because we move one of the other hands, but I'll just get the same position again in this position here. Now both hands are holding center. So from this position here, if it was to move this hand here, it allows me now to flow into a position to express the other Poon Sau. Okay? So essentially what we're doing is that with the structure flow, we're not really just rolling, we're really trying to close the space so that we're able to move our bridges or our weapons forward. Now, just as we're trying to close the range, we can also extend the range. So for example, if I was in a closed position here and Sylvester wants to pull me in, for instance, he pulls me in. The first position I've got is that I've got what we call a bridging with our Poon Sau here. Now because Wing Chun essentially is not a grappling system, we work off the bridge. So the only way we can feed our strikes is that we're able to maintain bridging range. So if he wants to pull me in, I must have a means by which to stop him, preventing him from actually pulling me in, so that otherwise I will not be able to feed in my strikes. And the reason we're able to do that is because what we don't want to do is roll up from this position here, because we want to control the bridging, we want to control the bridging structures. So what I'm going to have to do, regardless of whether my hand's underneath and pulls me here, I'm now able to distort his bridging positions here, because I'm now able to distort his structures here. So that's why we do not want to be able to destroy the position here, because we want to extend the range so that we're able to feed our strength. Okay? So this is essentially how we use the Poon Sau time frame. We're either going to be closing the range or we'll be extending the range. Okay?